Welcome to the Each One, Reach One podcast, built on the belief that change begins with just one. We celebrate purpose, resilience, and the ripple that one life can create.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Each One, Reach One. Like always, we invite guests here to share stories about their lives, how they feel they have impacted people, and how they have witnessed other people impact other people in their lives. So today we have a very special guest. Uh, a little bit of introduction. I don't know if she's from the UK. I don't know if she's Kenyan. I don't know if she's Zambian. Oh, she's from, I don't know. She might tell us. So, but I have a great honor of having Jedidah in the show. Jedidah, welcome to the show. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh, well, thank you for having me. I am from all over, but mainly from the UK and from Zambia. I was brought up in Zambia until I was 15 years old, then moved to the UK. My mom is British. My dad is from Malawi, but that's that's why I said I'm from wherever, everywhere. But yeah, so that's where my background is. I'm in Kenya though, because I am running Mercy Rescue. It is a baby rescue center, and we rescue babies that are vulnerable and abandoned and look after them and try and find families for them in the future.
Mm. I know, like I told you, I'll be throwing in questions that maybe were not part of the plan.
Throwing me off. Of course.
No, tell us, why did you decide to come to Kenya in the first place?
Yeah, that's a God thing. I did not decide it at all. It was not my decision. God just threw it in there. But from a young age, about 15 years old, I always knew that I wanted to do something like what I'm doing now, running an organization that is looking after kids, vulnerable kids. I always wanted to do that. But life happens. You think that you need to make money, or, you need to focus on other things. And so life happened until eventually God was fed up with me and threw me out and was like, come on. So I ended up in South Africa working at another children's home there. But my goal was, I'm going back to Zambia because that's where I grew up. So I was like, no, that's where I'm going. I used to tell people that's where God is leading me to. I was very confident in it. We'd have like this, Bible studies, and I'd be like, yes, God is leading me to Zambia. But then, funnily enough, one day I got connected to this organization in Kenya. They were looking for new management. They were looking for help, and they reached out to the children's home I was working at in South Africa. And then the people at the children's home I was at said, oh, well, we know someone who's looking to do something like this with her life. And so we started connecting and talking, and I was like, but this is Kenya. I was meant to go to Zambia. What's going on? This doesn't, I'm not vibing this, but we just connected so well. And just the idea of Mercy Rescue, what they were doing, what they wanted me to do, just clicked. Everything made sense. And it really felt that God was calling me to Kenya. And it's funny, I remember when I first arrived in Kenya, I literally went straight from South Africa to Kenya. The moment I arrived, I just remember feeling these chills, just knowing I was exactly where God wanted me to be. And so, yeah, it was not my choice at all. It was just something that happened, and I know it was all God. So.
Yeah, it's always beautiful how, you have that deep knowing, like, this is where I'm supposed to be. And when you have just that confirmation, it's just like a sigh of relief, like, I think, yeah, this is it,
Yeah, right.
Well, so Jedidah, tell us, when you hear the phrase "Each One, Reach One," what does it mean to you personally?
It's funny because I heard that phrase through you, and it made me think about personally the things that I've gone through and put into words, what I've experienced and how it's helped me. Because working with vulnerable children means that you experience tragedies. You experience cases where they just feel so big and just so much need that you feel, how can I even make a difference here? And it kind of, each one, reach one, gave me those words back when I think back to the tragedies I've been through, or we've lost a baby, or a case just hasn't gone the way we wanted it to. And one of the things that always helps me through those moments is that there's always one person that I'm helping, one child that is, even through this tragedy, there's always another one that I've helped. Even when something feels too big and it feels unreachable, like look at the one that I helped previously. So
Yeah.
that it made me think about those times,
Yeah.
that phrase. Yeah.
Wow. That is so good. The next one, many people believe changing the world requires doing something big. Why do you think God often starts with one person reaching one person?
Well, just imagine if every person that he asked to do something actually did it. If I help one person and that person helped one person, just how much change we would make. So I think probably there's that, but also I think when we think of like we need to do something big, sometimes it feels too much and something that we don't actually step out and do because we think it's too big. But also I think that God wants to own the big things as well. Like he wants to start with one person because he wants that relationship with us to grow, but he wants to be glorified in the big rather than us being the ones that are known for the big thing. So I think it starts with the small, unknown, even sometimes incapable people to do something that he wants us to do.
Yeah. What do you think, like, for, you, part of your life is tied to Zambia, that's Africa, Malawi, and being in Kenya, you find that it's always hard for young people naturally to feel like they can be difference makers, maybe just because they feel like they're poor or something like that, Do you know or maybe have something to say in regards, like, in terms of, people, it doesn't mean just to have wealth for you to make a difference, like, and this just maybe if you're just sharing to other young people around like Kenya, like, what would you tell them,
Yeah, it's always start small. I don't think you need anything amazing. You don't need education even. You don't need money. You don't need even huge intellect. Just think about the people in the Bible that God used, And I just think if you're young and you want to try and make a difference, just start with the person next to you. Start with the person that's in front of you, or start with someone that you see has a need. And even however small it is that you want to help, do it. Like start small, and you never know where that will lead you to.
Yeah. That's so good. Oh, Jedidah, you're so good with this,
Thanks for the encouragement.
All right. Through your work in Kenya, you've seen countless lives, impacted. Can you share a story that shows the power of one person making a difference?
Well, probably the organization I work with, Mercy Rescue, it started with one person meeting one child that was in need. No idea that Mercy Rescue would become what it is today. They didn't come here for that purpose. It was just, one of our founders was visiting, met a need, tried to help, and then, look at where we are now. We are helping. Well, through Mercy Rescue, we've helped over 400 babies, almost up to 500 now, I think. So just, if that one person hadn't helped that one child that was in need, we wouldn't be here.
Yeah. When I think about some of the kids that have gone through Massive Rescue, I think about Clinton, and right now he's doing film, and just like picturing and imagining, what if the founders had not made that bold decision, like where would Clinton be, today, or Filda, so it's truly remarkable how we can make a difference when we just start with that one, meet that one need, and you never know how the ripple.
For sure, and Clinton might be you one day sitting there doing exactly
right?
this.
Right?
Who knows? But not even those lives, but even the smaller lives where maybe we don't even know where they are now, but we just know that where they started, there was a potential that they wouldn't even be alive today. And they are alive and in a family and loved, just little ones like that. There's so many tiny stories that I think if that hadn't happened at the beginning, I wouldn't even be here.
Right. Yeah, we wouldn't be here doing
Exactly.
this. That's so good.
Yeah.
All right. So the other one is, what are some of the biggest excuses people, or maybe you had some time back, for not getting involved, and how will you challenge these excuses?
Right. Well, I can talk personally for me. My biggest excuse was money. I used to say all the time, I haven't got enough money. I'm not making enough. I used to work in a bank and I used to think, right, I need to, slowly work up the ladder to get more money so that maybe I can do something. I think I was just deceiving myself there though. But I used to think that. And my mom, who was my biggest encourager, always used to say, what are you still doing here, Jedidah? Come on, you knew this from 15 years old. Why are you still here? Type thing. But yeah, I just always used to think I needed money. And then one day, it's so funny to think about this right now. I hardly make any of the money that I used to make in the bank. But I'm here, do you know what I mean, with nobody. So it's crazy that you have these ideas in your mind thinking that you need to be this person, you need to have this kind of education, this kind of background, this kind of knowledge, or this money. But actually, if God wants to use you, he doesn't care about all of that. He's going to be the one that provides, and he's going to be the one that gives you what you need, right? And so that was my biggest excuse. And just so thankful that God was finally like, no, enough. And my actual story is that the bank went through redundancies.
Oh,
and
wow.
so I kind of was like, all right, God, I'm listening. I hear you. You've had enough of me stalling. Enough is enough. So
Wow.
yeah.
It's amazing how God sometimes what he does to make up like, hey, I've been calling, you need to listen.
He was for sure fed up with me.
Yeah.
He was like, stop using money as an excuse.
Yeah. Wow. And it's so interesting because many times I think that's also like we have talked previously a little bit about young people. They was just saying, let me wait until I'm financially stable to do this. Or it's funny story, Jedidah, with me before I got married. My mentor one day came and said, Ray, when are you planning to get married? And I was like, when I'm financially stable. And then he challenged me and then he said, have you ever thought about sometimes getting into it and trusting God that he'll provide? And I was like, man. So indeed, when I met Sam, we had just had that conversation like about 3 months before. And I was at a point in life where I said, God, the next lady friend that you're bringing into my life is going to be my wife.
Wow.
And then when Sam came, I was so bold. Like, of course, the first I never really told her. But when I told her, I'm like, hey, I don't want us to waste time, like girlfriend and all that. I promised God. We had this conversation, like the next woman coming to my life is going to be my wife.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm not financially stable, but I know God will make a way. And Jedidah looking at my life, I listen to that. If I just start with the idea where like I need to wait for this perfect time, yet God is the one who knows what a perfect time is,
Right.
So it's just really, that's really good. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So what have the children and families you serve taught you about the impact of one person? Taught you about the impact one person can have.
Right. Well, I think, especially because we work with children, we think sometimes you just work with one child, but you don't realize the impact that one child has on their family, their community, even. Just even helping one child can make a difference in their family. Like I have an example of one of our kids who comes from a village in Turkana, very obscure village. They don't even speak Swahili, which is the local language, the national language in Kenya. But she came through Mercy Rescue. She was educated, and it's just interesting to see now her family and even her siblings coming up and also wanting, to aspire to where she has got to, and how she made a difference to her family and even the community around her. And that was just one child that, we supported, and that's made a difference in so many other different people.
Wow. The other one is every person listening committed to, if every person listening committed to intentionally reaching one person this year, what kind of difference do you think that we'll see in our communities?
Just imagine, like, the difference. If we all were committed to just one person, that would be everyone, no? All of us helping one person, we'd solve everything, all the issues. But just even just thinking about it and just being intentional about reaching out to just one person. Even today, if you just think about, okay, who's that one person that maybe needs a phone call, maybe needs a visit, maybe needs, chocolate, maybe needs, just something small. to make a difference in their life, because I think sometimes we get so self-involved in our own lives that we don't always recognize that even though we might be sitting in front of someone who's smiling and joking around, we have no idea what's actually going on in their lives. And I think being intentional about always the person in front of you, being intentional and thinking, okay, how can I, help them today? Is there something I can do? Even if I don't know it, is there something that I can do to put a smile on their face? And just the difference we would all be as a community, how loving we'd all be, and how we would rely on each other, and just imagine how beautiful that would look, and how maybe even how God wanted it to look as well,
Yeah, wow. That is true. Hey, make a difference. All right, Jedidah, we're almost there. Sometimes we focus on changing thousands of lives and overlook the person right in front of us. Why is that a mistake?
Usually the person right in front of us is the person we can make the difference. If we look beyond and outside of where we are, I think God has put us where we are for a reason. And I think if we start to look outside of that, we miss what God has put right in front of us. And He has you where you are for a reason, and so start looking around you, because you're there for a reason. Even if, for example, even if I had this idea of coming to not Kenya, but coming to Africa, or just doing something, and while I was still in the UK, still where I was placed in that moment, there was a reason I was there, And I think about that time where I was at the bank for 9 years, wasting time, but actually it wasn't. There's so much during that time that I learned, I grew, I was, the people that I impacted, that was right in front of me. So it actually wasn't a waste of time. And I brought so much of that with me here. So I think make the most of where you are at now, make the difference where you're at now, instead of sitting there waiting for something big to happen.
Right, yeah. I remember, was it Moses when God asked him was it a miracle? And like, what do you have in your hands? And that stuff led to even greater works,
Right.
but he had to look around. What do you have around you? Make, that can help you in doing that. All right. So the next part, Jedidah, is what is one practical thing every listener can do this week to make a difference in someone's life?
Well, I think we kind of said it. Call someone, go visit someone, take someone out for a drink, buy someone flowers, buy them a gift, talk to them, just think about the person that God has put in front of you, and just think about how you can help. And also think about what God has given you. Sometimes we forget about the gifts that God has given us, and how that gift might be exactly the gift that you need to give the person in front of you.
Yeah, that's good. All right, to close the show, Jedidah, we always say this statement, finish the sentence. Each one, reach one means.
Well, I think I've said it so many times already that as we've been speaking, but I think each one, reach one means seeing the person in front of you and helping that person in front of you.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Well said. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'm hoping and I'm praying that you guys were inspired. And hey, if you're inspired, please feel free to share. Share on Facebook, YouTube, podcasts, every channel that you have. And let's make a difference wherever we are. Thank you guys for tuning in. And we are out.
Thank you for tuning in to the Each One Reach One podcast. Go into your day knowing that your life, your words, your action can spark purpose, bring hope, and inspire change. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube to hear more stories.